Welcome to this high-speed explainer. Today, we're taking ancient Abhidhamma philosophy, which is basically the early Buddhist blueprint of the mind, and decoding it into the ultimate guide to your mind's gaming rig. Seriously, if you've ever wondered how your consciousness actually interfaces with reality, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it.
Okay, I want you to start by asking yourself a pretty wild question. What physical hardware is actually running your consciousness at this exact second? It's really easy to think of the mind as just some invisible cloud floating out there in space. But the source text we're looking at today maps out a highly specific mechanical relationship between your physical body and your mental experience.
Get ready to level up, because according to the text, your mind isn't just running one single process. Not even close. There are exactly 89 distinct types of consciousness firing through your system. And we're talking about everything from super basic sensory reactions all the way up to incredibly advanced states of meditation. And to process all 89 of these, your body requires a very specific set of hardware ports.
All right, Section 1. The mind's hardware, specifically the 6 bases.
Let's start with the physical ports that actually connect you to the world. Our text introduces a really crucial concept here called a base, or vatu in Pali. Think of a base as the essential physical hardware, or maybe like a sensor pad, that's required to run specific mental software. Without the physical support of a base, these specific types of consciousness and mental factors simply can't arise. They literally need somewhere to plug in.
Now, these first 5 bases, your eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body, are basically your standard controllers. And they handle just 10 of those basic sensory consciousnesses. So let's play a quick game. Close your eyes for a second. Which base is hearing my voice right now?
Boom, the ear base, you got it. But here's the thing. The real powerhouse isn't actually on the surface of your body. It's the 6th port, the heart base, or Hade Vathu. This acts as the ultimate central processor, and it supports a massive 79 higher-level consciousnesses out of our total 89. So while your eyes and ears are out there handling the raw physical data, the heart base is doing all the heavy lifting for your complex emotions, your thoughts, and your absolute deepest mental processing.
Moving right along to Section 2, software, or the 7 consciousness elements.
So we know the physical hardware, but let's look at the software running on it. The math behind this is actually brilliant. The first 5 elements, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body, run just 2 basic consciousnesses each. That's 10 right there. Then we step up to the mind element, which runs 3. But the absolute beast of the whole system is the grand mind consciousness element, carrying a massive payload of 76 distinct consciousnesses. If you add them all up across these 7 elements, we perfectly hit our magic number, 89.
Okay, Section 3, dependent versus independent consciousness.
Here is where things get really fascinating. The crucial question is, does this software always need physical hardware to run? Like, are we entirely bound to our physical bases? Well, the data gives us a pretty amazing split. It turns out 43 consciousnesses are base-dependent. That means they are strictly hard-locked to your physical ports. If the hardware shuts down, they shut down. But 42 of them can operate as either base-dependent or independent, meaning they can run on the hardware, sure, but they can also detach and run completely independently. It's kind of like a cloud-based server.
Which brings us to Section 4, the multiverse and the 31 planes of existence.
Let's zoom out and see how this all builds into the grand multiverse where these hardware and software systems actually exist. Because, spoiler alert, we aren't just talking about humans on Earth here. The source text maps out exactly 31 different planes of existence. This is basically an incredible structural map of reality, representing different states of spiritual or karmic evolution. It ranges from dense physical worlds all the way up to pure energy dimensions, entirely based on your state of consciousness. And guess what? Your hardware specs actually change depending on which plane you occupy.
Yeah, your hardware specs shift dramatically. For instance, in the sense sphere plane, which happens to be where we reside, you have all 6 bases active. You need all those physical sensors. But if you level up to the fine material plane, you shed a lot of that density. You only keep 3 bases, the eye, the ear, and the heart. And if you go all the way up to the very top, the immaterial plane, you have 0 physical hardware. None. Total bases, 0. So that was the hardware. Let's look at the software side of those exact same planes. Down here, in our sense sphere, all 7 consciousness elements are running. In the fine material plane, that compresses down to just 4. But in that ultimate immaterial plane, it drops every single elemental type except for one, the mind consciousness element. That is literally the only software running when you have zero physical bases.
And finally, Section 5, Aggregates and Ultimate Reality.
So, how does all this hardware and software compile into what we actually experience as reality across those 31 planes? Well, everything in reality is built from these 5 core aggregates: element matter, feelings, perception, mental activity, which is like your volition or willpower, and consciousness. Our dense physical universe spans 26 planes that run all 5 of these aggregates simultaneously. But as you climb that multiverse architecture, 4 planes strip away to just 4 aggregates. And at the absolute peak, there's exactly 1 plane running purely on a single aggregate.
It literally redefines what existence even means. So I'm going to leave you with this ultimate challenge. Based on everything we've unpacked today, can you even imagine leveling up to exist as pure consciousness in that immaterial plane, processing reality perfectly without a single piece of physical hardware at all? No eyes, no ears, no body, just pure mind. It's a pretty profound thought to sit with. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep exploring the architecture of your own mind.